just thought I'd record working with my pencils. Derwent pastel pencils, the original set, which has 30 colours with 3 shades in each, but I've pulled out Chinese white, which is 72B, a Prussian blue, which is 35D, and an indigo 36F, which is a faint. I'm playing with the bluebells, so I scratched a bit of blue, scratched a bit of pale blue, and scratched a bit of white. And then I was using a number 3 Dayley graduate paintbrush, dunking it in water and then twisting to a point, and that's just barely damp. And then you manipulate it, and then it's no longer a pastel, it's a watercolour. So we don't have any more bluebells on there. So I can put these back. Right, sorry, got my colours mixed up. So we want a leaf. So I've got 3 olive shades there. Olive green 51, B, D and F. And that should give me, scratch a bit of dark, and then mid-tone. And then the palest one. And then take the damp brush, starting at the palest first, because once you've blended this with a damp brush, it becomes a watercolour on the end of your brush. These are technically not a watercolour, but they react like watercolours. So the minute you activate them, you have hair on there. I think that's an Alfie hair. That brush is a bit too damp, barely damp. Manipulate it to the bottom corner. That's going to give you that nice shadow in that ridge. You also get a very nice blend as well. So give that a moment and it's dried. So we've got all these leaves to do. You could put white at the end if you wanted a very, very light highlight, but I'm quite happy with that one. And it's now become blend that into there. If you do it this way, you've got to be careful that you're not going to contaminate the darkest, so you have to clean your brush every time, whereas if you go around the lights first, you don't really have to do that. And you just keep doing that, so there's all those leaves are going to be the same, 3 shades. And you can move it about like a watercolour. Technically it's not a watercolour, but it reacts like a watercolour, so you get some quite nice highlights. So we've got 2 more to do, like so. You can actually do, as long as you don't touch them with your hands and smudge them, you can do this all first. So I'm going to experiment with a water brush now to see if my favourite one, the only one I use, is a number 1 Derwent watercolour brush because it's the driest. And again, I twist it on a baby wipe so that it's not too wet, it's just barely damp. We'll see if we can work with this. But normally I find them too wet. But this is the driest one. So as long as you don't squeeze it, it's working quite well. But I do prefer the riggers because you can get a more natural blend out of them, really. I do prefer the riggers. And they kind of go for a bit longer as well, because that's the nature of them. They are designed to keep going for longer. That's why they were used for painting the riggers on the tall ships. It's the rigging, and they were called riggers because they would do a continuous fine line right across the painting. And that's why it works here. You don't want an ordinary fat chunky water brush, because as soon as you touch the page it floods it, whereas this just manipulates it. A tiny amount of dampness is kind of dripped down, So your pages are very flat. Putting the pencils back. So we'll have a different green this time. We've got some kind of red berries there, so we'll do our red berries. So I've got a geranium lake. Oh, there's a crimson. I think I like this one. So again, the darkest bits at the bottom. And then we'd like the next colour. The next shade, I should say. And I'm going to do the last one white, because I want it to be a really, really white highlight on those cherries. Then going back to the damp brush, manipulate the white and then draw the pink around. And you've got to clean your brush after every one really for this. Otherwise you will not get that lovely effect. And because it was a watercolour, I could get rid of that. So white first, activate the pink, and then manipulate the red. A smaller brush probably would have been better for this one. I've got a number 2 Pro Art. This is quite a nice little brush, this one, so again, manipulate that round. And you just keep going until you've done all the little cherries. You get some quite nice blends as well. And you can manipulate that red right to the edge. So you don't have to be so precise with the pastel, because you can manipulate it with the little brush. And that's why you have a lot of control over that. And that's how I work with normally 3 shades. 3 different colours or 3 shades. You don't really need more than that. Sometimes you can go back in with a little bit of dark. You must remember, if you're using white with any other colour, you have to clean your brush because it reacts like a watercolour, and so it'll be on the end of your brush. So I'll just see if I can actually get further down. No, didn't think I could. I've rearranged the desk and it's not going to work. Still have a lot of pencils kicking about. So, let's have a look. See, slightly better, but it's not going to stay there unless I throw everything off the desk. And it would be difficult for me to work there. Yep, just knocking everything off. So it's just too difficult for me to work at the moment. I'll put some blue tack on there. So I'll just work on these few leaves just for a moment and then I can stop. So we need a different green. May green's quite nice. Yep, I think I'll use May green. So again, I've got 3 colours. I've got May green, F, D and B, which is for bold, dense and faint, I think. So again, we've got here and 3 colours is normally enough. And then I'm using my number 3 Daler Rowney rigger. Been dunked in water and then twisted to a point on a baby wipe, which has taken off a fair amount of water. Just left this barely damp. You only want it barely damp. Sorry about the bark alert. It's our little monster. And then you need to rinse and start again, because if you don't, you lose that really pale highlight. Which I took off anyway, but there we go. So we've got 2 on this side. So again, the same thing, and you can put your hand on it because it's now not a pastel anymore, it's set with water, so you've got no nasty chemicals, and it doesn't go paler. It goes a tiny shade darker, but any liquid mixed with them makes them do that. So, there we go. And we just manipulate that. And it's fairly quick as this as well, which is another reason why I quite like it. It's fairly fast. And then I put the pencil straight back in their little safe art bag. Pencil art bag from Derwent, because you don't end up with them all over the place rushing around like these. These are not in that and they get damaged, so they go straight back where they belong. And you think we could have a strange I think I'll do a strange combination here, and there isn't a point on this, so you kind of got to be a little bit careful. So just manipulate that. Sorry, bark alert. Alf is in one of his barking modes today. So apologies for that. And again, you can see, get some really nice darks here. You don't have to be all pale. So that's how I'm working with my pastels and my water rigger in my colour book. Thank you for watching.